Okay, I'm working on this 2012 Chevy Cruze and wanted to make a quick video on a problem I was having with it. I got a flashing check engine light, which is, it's pretty serious when it starts flashing. And I come up with a P0301 cylinder 1 misfire and a P0351, which was the ignition coil A, I think, something along that line, the circuit. So I just wanted to show you what I found on this, and before I kind of get into that, I want to talk about what I kind of went through checking on this car, which was, may have seemed like the long way about it, but I went to checking all the connectors. I was checking, with the fuel, vacuum hoses, and checking the fuses, checking the relays, anything. Usually it comes down to being something simple. And then I want to show you kind of what I did next. Okay, so you got your coil pack, which is all in one unit, and of course you know how it connects in here. It goes to your plugs and everything. You got your connector. So one of the things that I did after I'd kind of checked everything else out, and I was leaning towards, okay, well, it's got to be in here, something in the wiring, I got a problem with the computer, what's going on. I knew it wasn't the coil pack because I've got another good one right here, and I swapped it, and it was the same exact code, same exact symptoms, didn't make any difference. So what I did was basically I left the coil hooked up, and I took the coil pack's on there now. I kind of put a plug like in here, and I put it against the ground. You can run a insulated screwdriver, whatever, just get it to a ground is basically what you're going to do. So anyways, I did that on each of these, and to check the spark. And what I noticed was, as the code reader had said, this cylinder 1, a very, very faint spark. It was sparking, but it was very, very faint. So that is, I knew I had a problem in this. I knew it wasn't the coil pack. So then I'm okay, I got to start looking at the wiring. So the very first place that I started was with the connector, and I'm going to show you what I found there. Okay, so here is the connector, and all I did was go through here checking each one of these wires and just pulling on them, and as I got to that fourth one right there, you can see it just pulled right out. So if you're gonna start, definitely start at your plug before you go to tearing the harness apart and looking at a lot of other things. Start here, make sure at first that your plug is good, you got good connections, because probably, just through the years, this thing getting tugged on and removed, that's happened. So this piece here snaps onto there on each side, and I just kind of took a little pick tool and unsnapped that so I could get, because with that on there you can't really check and see very easily which ones are loose or not, but that one just pulled right out of there. And the weird thing is, it was getting a little bit of spark, but it was faint. It was more faint than the rest of them, so it was just barely connecting, but causing a lot of problems. Okay, so here is my pigtail. This one looks different from this one, but it's off of a newer year, but it's a 7-pin connector, just the same. And you can get these from the parts store, and they can order them, but they're very expensive, $50 to $70. So I would recommend getting one off of a salvage yard used engine and just cutting it off of there. That's what I've done. It's got one off of another wire harness. So I'm just looking at these wires. Some of them look different, like this one's purple and this one here is red, but I've got it laid out here, and basically we're just going to be transferring. I'm going to do them one at a time so I don't get anything mixed up. But you could just mark, like say this wire, and you know, put a number or something on this one and just label them that way and cut them all at once. But I think I'm going to be doing them one at a time. I made sure I got plenty of length here. I'm just going to cut it here, and we're going to start soldering. Just a typical hand solder. Anything that you got will work. I've got this one here, going to be using to get you a little bit of this solder, and some flux kind of helps a little bit. And I'm also going to be slipping some shrink tube. However, you can use the liquid, let me show you. This here works really well, liquid tape. I've used this. I mean, it works just as good because it just coats it. So whatever you want to use, it's just a little bit messier, but I'm going to be using the shrink tube this time, so I'm going to slip that on before I go to soldering these. But basically just going to be cutting it and peeling the wire back a little bit, about that far, and doing these one at a time here. Of course, make sure you disconnect your negative before you go to doing any wiring and soldering or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and get this completely disconnected. Okay, I got me a little wet paper towel down here. I like to put a little dab of flux on there before I start soldering. Like I said, I'm just going to do them one at a time here. Okay, I'm just getting ready to solder this last wire, and I've already got the shrink tubes on the wires. You don't want to mess around and forget those if you're using that. We got a little bit of flux on here. This is how I've just kind of done each and every one of them. Now, the bigger the wire, like this one on the end here's a little bit heavier, so I'm going to have to get it a little bit hotter to get this solder to go through that wire. We don't want any of this coming loose. This gun so far is done pretty good. Alright, looks like I've got really good penetration. So now I've just got to get my shrink tubes back down on here. I'm just going to start slipping those down one at a time, and we'll get those. I'll just heat them up with a lighter, or you can use a little torch if you got one. Okay, so we got those shrunk down on there pretty good. And so now we'll probably go ahead and just take and wrap all this up with a little bit of tape and some protective covering here. We got this little piece we got to put back on here as well that clips over this. But so we got it all together, and we'll go ahead and test it out here in a minute. Okay, we got it all wrapped up real nice. I got a lot of excessive length, but I can just tuck it here out of the way. So we're fixing to try it out. I'm going to go ahead and lock my coil pack back down. Okay, I've got it running here now. You see, got everything hooked back up, and the check engine light has gone away, and it sounds good so far. The only thing I've got left to do is take it for a test drive, but so far I think that's fixed everything, and the flash and check engine light and everything has gone away at this point, so I would call that a success. Okay, so anyways, that's going to conclude this video. Like I said, there's the culprit. I don't know if I would want to try to fix a connector. It's just as easy to go get you another pigtail. You probably could if you took it all apart, but probably be a lot of trouble. And who's to say if that one came out, the other ones are going to do the same thing. But point is, you know, it's not always going to be something simple like a coil pack. You could have something else going on. You know, thank goodness it's not a computer problem. But anyways, maybe that can help somebody else out. You know, if you have unfortunately went ahead, you know, and replaced your coil pack and spark plugs and everything, and you still got this misfire, take a look at this plug, make sure these wires, because like I said, it was in there, but it was just barely connecting, making a connection. It was a faint spark that it was getting on cylinder number 1. So it was just wreaking all kinds of havoc and making it run and idle rough. And once that check engine light starts flashing, you know you got some serious problems. But anyways, wanted to make a quick video on this and show you how I fixed this. It was a pretty easy fix, and got this thing running smooth again. So if you found it helpful, please give the video a thumbs up. As always, I invite you to subscribe, and thank you for watching.